To get background into what you're doing today, it's very interesting to know the person of where they came from. And, you've taken a very interesting journey and path that many people have not, which I commend you on. And now being here with your life and work experiences, uh, understanding that I'm coming from a legal background, obviously, as a law firm doing real estate corporate law predominantly. Right now, in the year 2022, what are you seeing as the trends in legal technology?
I think that obviously COVID accelerated, not just in the legal sector, but in a wide variety of sectors that are, including fintech and, certainly in your part of what you're doing in the acceleration of the delivery of mortgages, the transfer of real estate, the transfer of legal documents, uh, the word remote, the word hybrid work, digital transformation, all of these hashtags that are dominating our life. And sorry, uh, we're all accelerated. I think in the legal space, obviously, people are trying to do a number of things in terms of customer engagement and compliance, and that is to duplicate the very healthy aspect of being in front of somebody and understanding what their goals are and what their needs are, what their concerns are, and protecting them, but also protecting the other people in the tech, in the transactional flow or chain. On the document management side, obviously, there's the introduction of artificial intelligence. There's the idea of remote law firms. There's the idea, and I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, of replacing lawyers. I'm not sure that, and I'm not saying this because you're a lawyer, I'm not sure that that really is, in some respects, a completely noble goal, because a lawyer in the conceptual sense and in the real sense is not just someone who gives you legal advice and processes paper properly. It's taking the term from the Canadian Senate, it's a second sober thought, that your lawyer, and I recognize the bar has restrictions, and my lawyer, always used to say that ultimately it was the business person's decision to decide where you came in between doing something and not doing something from a legal a risk management point of view. That's not saying that you do something illegal. It's just that sometimes you have to accept that all of the risks in a business transaction can't be covered by a good contract. There is a question of trust and the unknown. But I think the lawyer does have that very valuable role, whether it's for the individual or for a corporation, and says, are you really sure about this? And also make sure that you've thought about the issues that you haven't thought about. So I think that when we look at technology, if we're empowering lawyers, we're empowering notaries, then I'm quite comfortable with the changes. If we're taking away the value of experience and 20, 30 years and a law degree, then I'm worried about some of the changes in legal technology.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. And I could tell you that I've spoken to other lawyers that were in law firms that are scared of technology, and that for the very reasons you're saying as far as what's going to happen. But I see it very differently. I remember the days my father was a lawyer before me. I never got to see him practice. But, back in the day, your lawyer was your lawyer. That was the family lawyer. That was the trusted person. Everybody went to them, and, you trusted them for your most important decisions and running them through your options, etc. And where I see technology is not taking away that relationship. We're still like a quasi therapist, priest, rabbi, however you want to look at us, because people bring us a lot their issues and problems, and they want a voice to hear them and sort it out, talk out loud, but also to come up with game plans and solutions. The difference now with technology is that we get to have lives as lawyers more. The clients have ease. Their lives are made a lot simpler. I could tell you that pre-COVID, there were times that everything was face-to-face. All the appointments were being signed face-to-face. And you're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Sometimes you're signing in 6 different locations. This person is that location, the person that location, somebody got sick, whatever happened. Even if you have multiple lawyers. And so I could be signing 2 people downtown, 2 people in Vaughan, 2 people in North York. And I'm just like this traveling roadshow kind of thing. And because it's very different in that people don't necessarily, agree to just come to one location. They're saying, "Oh, you're working at this location. Well, that could be that location is not convenient for me, so I'm just going to go to a different law firm. Have a nice day." So you want to be able to be accessible. You're going to provide service. You're going to be available in many, many locations. I'm getting home every night. It's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, not eating dinner. I'm starving and my life's not feeling very good. I'm just spending a lot of it in the car. All of a sudden, this all comes together. And as we invoked Syngrafii, it was, I believe, December of last year, December 2021, I think, when we finally did the rollout. And I can see over time, we were already more virtually meeting people. But what was happening was they were printing off paperwork, they're signing it, scanning it, and then you got to shred it later. And it's such a waste of trees and resources, and it's such a shame. And I'm thinking in my head, there's got to be a better way. But I still want those hand signatures. Everybody wants those hand signatures. And as you and I are talking through this, and then we invoke the Syngrafii system, and I'm thinking to myself, look at this. I'm meeting people. They are hand signing it, but instead of printing off the paper, they're doing it on their phones. It's just fantastic. But here I am, and all of a sudden, I can go home, I can have dinner, I can have a life. And oh, you know what? No problem. We'll do the 8 o'clock appointment. Maybe we'll do a 9 o'clock appointment. We can meet on weekends. But I get to be wherever. It doesn't matter where I am in the world at this point. It doesn't matter where they are. And we can close any property in Ontario. So the technology wise, I would say it benefited the clients for ease of use. It made the law society, it made banks and the banking regulations all wake up and say, you know what, guys, in this day and age, paperless is the way to go. And to do this, we got to do this properly virtually, and we have to accept that. And that allowed all these industries to grow up, so to speak, and just became more ease of use, be better customer service, balance of life. I read so many articles on all professionals, not just law firms, but especially on lawyers, that's saying work-life balance, work-life balance, work-life balance. How about those young couples that go and buy their first home and maybe they have a young child in the home? Maybe it's an elderly grandparent with them. It's not easy to pick everybody up and travel to a Starbucks to sign up paperwork or to go to a boardroom somewhere. How about doing it right from your home? How about doing it, or this person's in the office, this person's at home, this other person's in the office? It's been fantastic. So I would say legal technology, for people that are embracing it, you're really doing well by your clients and doing well by your own life.
No, I agree with you. I mean, on the way home today, there was a sign in the barber shop at the corner that said, "Get your haircut. It's cheaper than talking to your psychologist." And I think the value of our technology is that it allows you as a lawyer to focus on the value added and the reason you went to law school. You driving along, the 427 to deliver a set of documents, or your customer meeting you wherever they're going to meet you, is not value added. It's the time that you have to go through the concerns that people have and understand those concerns and ideally mitigate them, or at least give them the comfort level that they can proceed and expand the size of their house or get their first house, depending on what the case may be. And certainly our technology liberates that process, but I think is committed. And, as we won't go into the details here, but we're rolling out the next phase of that. We want you to have the comfort that you can do that without the expense of driving and the expense of parking. And yes, for a young family with a baby, to throw the young baby in the back seat and drive off to their lawyer is not fun. We had one of your friends or colleagues in the legal profession had an 85-year-old couple who obviously didn't want a driver coming to their house during COVID. And they were quite concerned about being able to use technology. And the lawyer said, if you can't figure out ink sign and video signing room by Syngrafii, I'll waive my fee. And the two of them signed it successfully. We had one of your colleagues, who's an 82-year-old lawyer, phoned up and said, I'm getting my first computer in my life, and I heard about you people. Can you help me? It took maybe one extra training session than for somebody who had a computer, but he openly admits that we helped his practice survive. And he wasn't so worried, I'm sure, about his practice surviving. He was worried about his customers being able to do what they wanted to do. And his customers were not too far from his demographic himself, but he wanted to continue with his friends because, that's what he felt was, and that's probably why he still went to the office at 82, was that he liked being able to be that confidant, that you see, and that typical small town lawyer you see in films, is somebody that, you go to for legal advice, but you go to help walk through the decision-making process.
And we could do it the same way like we're doing this interview right now. There's no different. I'm
Yeah.
seeing you, you're seeing me, we're talking. What's the difference, folks? It's really not that much different in my mind,
No, the
But-
difference is that we can actually achieve something at the end of the process and sign a document, understand it, and execute it, and move on. Because the one downside of this whole Zoom world has been a fake sense of productivity. At the end of the day, if nothing's signed, nothing happens.
Mhm.
That's just life.
But I can tell you, I've been now, I think it's been almost 20 years since I finished law school and then did my articling, etc. And I can tell you this profession, they go kicking and screaming with every advancement in technology. I can tell you at different stages of my career, as far as voicemails going to email and having to open them up as an email attachment. No more paper faxes going through a fax machine, getting those emailed as email attachments. Every step, and there's a change that we got to upgrade the browser. No more Windows 7, no more Internet Explorer. Every step, there's always somebody. I've been doing this for 10 years like this, kicking and screaming. It was working fine. Why do you have to change it? And inevitably, once you get the kinks out and everything else, people are saying, wow, I don't know how I ever survived without this. My life is so much quicker and better now with the advancement of technology. So I would say it's nothing different from virtual signing. And, as a company, whether you're a law firm or any company, you have a choice. You can either be advancing, you can be the trailblazer, or you can be a laggard. And you don't want to be left behind in the dust.
There was a recent court decision where Ontario Justice criticized and then ultimately decided against a lawyer because he said you have a fiduciary responsibility to stay ahead of technology. He said you're not using a telex, you're not using a fax, you have to move into this world and you can't use that as an excuse to not service your clients properly. And so I think that the profession, if it doesn't move, is certainly going to lose its customers just because of the customer service aspect of it. But I think ultimately, there's a time management in technology that I think sometimes gets lost when people start looking at bills too closely. And there's ultimately, your experience is obviously, there's a downside. There's a downside to it having a cell phone, but if your tire breaks on the side of the highway, you're certainly glad somebody invented it. So you have to look at technology, I think, in terms of what it's going to deliver and manage it properly. And that's why we think we're effectively just making people's lives easier and less stressful.
Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the Chosen Lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.